I've never done a top anything list before, but I think I want to do something like this to show off games that I really like that don't quite fit into the Why I Love series. Try to save that for some games that I feel fewer people are talking about. So this will be my catch-all of what I enjoyed this year. I think I may, in the future, just make this about games I played in that current year, as I tend to play games not the year that they were released. I kind of cheated, but all the games in this video technically came out in 2020. I'm just saying I cannot promise that for next year. So, here is my top 6 of 2020, in no particular order. Okay, let's go. First, let me say, it has to be Stars Die. I love this game enough to make 2 videos on it. I'm working on a second video, just you wait. What else do I have to say about this game? It is great. It's a short game that I picked apart because I was just that sucked in by the story. Something you can sit down and be lost in for a little over an hour and get a large portion of that story. The atmosphere and tone are incredible. The art and music really make the world feel alien and unknowable. There's plenty of mystery to get your brain running, but the core story is kind of simple. It's more of a character study than actually about a huge world-altering event. I don't want to talk more about the story of the game because if you haven't played it, you should just do that now. It's only $5. Plus, I've already done a video on why it's great, so go check that out. Next is a game I've wanted to make a video on before, but I just haven't been able to make it work yet. It's Risk of Rain 2. I love Risk of Rain, the first one. So, when I was presented with the idea of Risk of Rain 2 as this fully 3D game, I was skeptical. But I had to try it. I grabbed it day one, and I've played it a lot since then. It provides a roguelike experience I absolutely love. One where I can become ridiculously overpowered. You can get all sorts of items that might end up making you feel quite broken, and I love that. I mean, the game isn't super easy either, so it feels good to get one over on the environment by landing on a super strong build. There are a good amount of characters to play as, a lot of items to collect, and secrets to find. There's a lot of replayability, which is perfect for a roguelike. The combat feels great, it's really fun to run around killing monsters and fighting bosses. The core game is fairly simple too, so you aren't spending a lot of time figuring out how to play. But if you spend a lot of time with it, you will find all sorts of ideas of how to make specific characters as powerful as they can be. The multiplayer is great too. I've spent a lot of time doing that with friends, and now there are even mods, so we can do all sorts of things to make the game different for us, like playing as Vegeta. This game came out of early access in 2020, so it totally counts for this year. My next cheat game, it came out of early access in 2020, and it's a roguelike too. I mean, everyone will probably have this on their list of games of 2020, as long as they count leaving early access as coming out in that year. I know everyone saw a million videos and articles on this game back in September. If you haven't been looking at the screen this whole time, you still probably would have figured out that this is Hades. I love Supergiant games. I've enjoyed their other games quite a bit, so I was very excited to hear that they were making a roguelike, which is basically my favorite way for a game to be. I even committed a major gamer sin, and bought this game on the Epic Store when it first released. What hasn't been said about this game? In case you missed it somehow, it has incredible art, beautiful music, an interesting story, great characters, and just so much to do. The gameplay is very satisfying, the combat is fast-paced, but not overwhelmingly so. This actually might be one of the most completable roguelike games. It isn't free from challenge, but it's much easier than a lot of other choices out there, which I think makes sense. They want you to go back and meet all those characters. It is a really fun interpretation of Greek mythology. I know I had to study that in school, and I bet most people did, so it's fun to see those stories presented in a new way. As much fun as the game is to play, the best part is walking around the halls of Hades, talking to all the inhabitants, and making friends. There's a ludicrous number of spoken lines. It's a very impressive feat, especially when you end up with some of the voice lines that trigger from unique combinations of boons or having met other specific criteria. This game is just so much fun. I go back to it for an extended period, basically every other week. I recommend it to everyone I talk to who likes video games, so if you haven't played it, just go do that. It's really damn good. Okay, so this is my last cheat game, as in it came out of early access in 2020. I've played so much of this one, pretty much since the early days of the early access. It's Deep Rock Galactic. I love this game so very much. I even made a trailer for it when they did a contest. I wanted to try making a trailer. It's a pretty fun experience, even won some stuff. Anyway, this game is one of my favorite games, probably forever. The game takes that Left 4 Dead style of game and adds some new complexity on top of it. You mine your way through missions, collecting minerals or whatever objective materials you need, all the while fighting off swarms of nasty bugs. The game's director can really drop in some swarms and big monsters at points of a mission to make everything feel really tense. It can make things very stressful, but in such a good way because you know you can survive and bring back all your well-earned rewards. There are only 4 classes, and they have a total of 16 weapons across the game, but they've added tons of cosmetic items to chase and make your dwarf look pretty. They also added a weapon overclock system where you have to find and craft new upgrades for weapons that do things from increasing the fire rate to completely altering how a gun functions. So most of the game is focused on grinding to that next overclock, or maybe you just really want to try to find a new pickaxe part. But being down in the caves is just so much fun. I'll still be playing this after I've unlocked everything. I don't know how possible that is really, considering they will continue to add new things, as they have already done after the 1.0 release. The game is also designed with co-op in mind, and I have a few friends who like to play with me, and even playing with just one other person provides so much extra fun. There are other similar co-op games that I really enjoy, but there's something more satisfying about the character progression in Deep Rock Galactic, much more so than any other co-op game similar. I'm always excited about updates to the game and will play this at least once a week. This is easily my favorite co-op game ever now. The next game came out fully in 2020. No early access, no gimmicks, it's Jet Lancer. I also did a video on this one, go watch it if you haven't. This game is pretty straightforward arcade fun. Fly around as a superjet, dodging missiles, shooting down other aircraft. There's a simple story to it, heavily anime inspired. It does have some pretty interesting ideas in there at certain points. I kinda want to do a video about those, but a different video. This game was one I had a great time with this year, but it was elevated into a favorite when they added the arcade mode. They give you 4 different jets to play as against waves of enemies with a roguelike progression system. I know they were working on it before I put out my video, but they answered my wish as an endless wave mode is what I said would make the game perfect for me. And now it's there! The combat is the star of this game, and the arcade mode lets you just keep playing for as long as you like. I really hope they'll add more to the game at some point. Hell, I would happily pay for more things in this game. I am ready for more, but in the meantime I'll just keep putting more hours into that arcade mode. And the last one for this year, Monster Prom 2. I guess this one is a little bit of a cheat too, kind of, as it's not 100% out yet. We only have Monster Camp. There's more coming, which is wonderful. Monster Prom was a surprise to me when it first came out. I generally don't really like visual novels or styles of game like that, but Monster Prom has enough uniqueness to it that pulled me in. I played it so much. I forced friends to play with me, and when that Kickstarter came out for Monster Prom, I was so excited. And then sad, because there was no way I could afford to be part of it at the time. But the game came out towards the end of October, and I could finally get my hands on it. This game is just way more of the goodness the first one brought us. Just moving from high school to summer camp. If you don't know, you play the game as a fellow campgoer trying to seduce one of the main cast. You have to work on yourself by going to certain locations to increase your stats, and then woo the characters by picking a choice when you land yourself in one of the wacky situations. You can fail or succeed, and it's still all a blast. The writing is over the top and silly, and it makes you crave seeing all the new events. You can play by yourself, but the game is best played with others, especially considering this one seems to encourage the competitive aspect more than the first one, with new things that throw a wrench into your plans, like the drink system or creating a rumor about someone. The artwork is fantastic too, they'll have you thirsting over the monster babes in no time. Plus, you might find a secondary character you can find a secret ending where you seduce them instead. There are lots of little things to find in there, secret endings for characters and other things that unlock as you play. It's just such a fun time to play this game. I try to get everyone I know into it whenever I can, so maybe you should pick it up now. That's it. Last year I tried a few new things with the channel. I mean, they've all been one-off videos, this top 6 list, the trailer, an analysis video I'm still working on. I hope to do a bit more new things in the future. I like trying things and learning how to do new stuff. I also don't really like to put that much emphasis on the division of years. Like, it isn't like everything will be totally new just because it's January 1st. But I still hope things are better this year. 2020 sucked. I think almost everyone can agree. Anyway, I hope you liked the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.